is for the class, the language of linear algebra. If you're in this class, you know the drill, the answer keys up there. Pause and start grading your work. If you're not in this class but would like to be in this class, go to the description. You'll see a link to this class on notschool.com. Now remember that when I do this video, you're welcome to watch it if you're not in the class. But I'm taking into account what my students do and do not know when I show things, okay? I want them to be at a certain level, and that's how I have to teach at that level. So if you're in my class, you should be grading your worksheet. Hopefully you have, and you come back now and you're ready to see how I did these problems. So let me zoom in and we'll get started. Okay, one thing I want to point out is that on number 7, if you are in one of the first sections of this class after I wrote it, there is a typo, but it should have been fixed by now to 0, 0 as the second point. In the original, I forgot the second point. So there you go. All right. So remember that we're using this formula, and some things that we need to highlight from this formula is that the 2 and the 1s do not mean anything. All right, you can decide which points are your point 1s and which ones are your point 2s within a problem. Okay, you do not have to use you don't have to overthink it. It's just an organizational tool to make sure you have your point 1s lined up top and bottom and your point 2s lined up top and bottom. So I'm just going to say for this first one that this is point 1 and this is point 2. And if you were to reverse that, you would still get the same answer as me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill everything into my equation. So this is x, this is y. Remember, x comes first in the alphabet, so it comes first in my coordinate point. All right, so y point 2 would be 14. Y point 1 would be 10. X point 2 would be -7. X point 1 would be 8. All right, so 14 minus 10 is 4. -7, -8, I'm adding up my debt. It's going to be -15. All right, this one, I'm going to go ahead and reverse. I'm going to call this point 2 and this point 1 just to show you that I'm going to get the same answer. All right, so I'm going to fill everything into my equation. All right, y point 2 is 1, y point 1 is 2, y point 2, x point 2 is -3, x point 1 is a -17. See how I have that double negative? That's because the negative is on the 17, and in my equation I have a minus. Okay, so I'm going to have 2 back to back. On the top, 1 minus 2 is -1. On the bottom, these are going to go to positive. All right, -3 plus 17. I owe $3, but I just got paid 17. So after I pay off my debt, I'm going to have $14. Okay, now this and this, even though the negative is in different places, are the same thing. Okay? I can write it. The proper way of writing it would be to put the negative on the whole fraction. So the negative and then the fraction. All right. That's the proper way because it's the whole fraction that's negative. Fraction means division. So if they were both negative, it would actually be a positive fraction. It doesn't matter which one of them are negative to make the whole fraction negative, okay? You just have to pick one. All right, so I'm going to go back to this is point 1 and this is point 2 because reading from left to right, that is probably generally how you're going to do it. I just wanted to show you that we get the same answer, okay? All right, let's fill these things in. All right, so y2 is -10 minus y1 is -4. x2 is -12 minus x1 is -20. So I have 2 of these double negatives which are going to go positive. If you're having problems with this negative and positive skills, check out the class crash course negatives and positives. Negative and positive numbers. Okay, I teach it. It's an hour and a half long. It's one day only, and it's just a refresher course on how to manage these negatives and positives. Negatives and positives are hard. When I was a college teacher, it was hard. If I took that calculator away, people did not know how to do negatives and positives. And that makes sense that it's hard because our brain is constantly trying to interpret what we see with what we know makes sense. Negatives don't always make sense. They look awkward on a page, and so our brain will sometimes change it because that's what it's programmed to do. And we have to remember that the only way to keep it from doing that is to keep doing negative and positive problems until it gets filed in our brain as something we know that is correct, something we know that does look right. Okay? So on the top I have negative 10 plus 4. Hold on one second. Okay, so if it's negative 10 degrees outside and the temperature raises 4 degrees, it's now at negative 6. Visualize that number line, and that will help. All right, so now I have negative 12 plus 20. If I owe negative $12, but I have $20 in my pocket, I can pay off my $12 debt and still have $8 left over. Now I need to reduce these by 2, and the answer is a negative 3, of course. I don't care if you leave your fractions improper or as mixed numbers. That is not a concern of mine. What is a concern of mine, though, is that you have your fractions reduced. It just makes math easier. All right, 0.1, 0.2, xy, xy. Okay, so when I'm setting up my formula, looks like this, all right? And that is going to be negative 8 minus a negative 5 over 0 minus a negative 12. Again, I have these things that I need to turn into positive, these double negatives. All right, a negative 8 plus a 5. I owe $8, but I have $5 in my pocket. I'm still going to owe negative $3. If the temperature is at 0 degrees and it raises throughout the day 12 degrees, I'm now at 12 degrees. Okay, got to reduce this. They're both reducible by 3. If you're having trouble reducing, I teach many classes on fractions, and in each one of those I do a little thing on reducing. So take any of my crash courses on fractions. I have adding and subtracting fractions. I have multiplying and dividing fractions. I also have a class converting fraction to decimal and percent, and in there I show reducing. All right, 3 goes into negative 3, negative 1 time, but I know the whole fraction is negative, so I'm going to put the negative up front. 3 goes into 12 4 times. All right, we should be able to get a little quicker with these now. Write down all my information. All right, so y2 is 16 minus a negative 6 and 15 minus a negative 19. Again, double negatives turn to positive. 16 plus 6 is 22, and 19 plus 15 is 34. These are both reducible by 2, and I show this so that if you got the non-reduced answer, you know that all you had to do was reduce it. You did the actual finding the slope correctly, because I think that that should be weighted 2 different ways. If you got this, I would hardly even take a point off. I probably wouldn't take a full point off. I might only mark you off for one time that you did that. If you only forgot to reduce once, I'm not going to take anything off. It's obviously you just forgot. And that's another thing I want to explain about these worksheets. If you all of a sudden say, oh, I did that wrong in every single problem, but now I know how to do it, Stop this video, correct it, come back, and then grade yourself. The purpose of grading something is not to make you feel bad, not to rank you among a bunch of people. The purpose is that you can see what you're doing wrong and go back and do it right. We have to have mastery and learning. So that's what I want you to focus on. If you're doing it wrong, just stop, do it right, and then come back to it. Come back to this video, okay? I want you to do, it's more important to me that you learn the concept than that you get grades for the concept. So let's set up this next one, and we're getting close to the end. All right, so we have a -9 minus a 9. And on the bottom we have 7 minus a -6. That's going to turn a positive. -9 minus 9. I went to 2 different stores and spent $9. I owe $18 altogether. I'm at 7 degrees, but it raises 6 more degrees. I'm at 13. And I don't care if you write it this way or if you say, okay, 13 can go into 18 one time with 5 left over and make it into a mixed number. Do not care if it's improper or mixed. All right, 0.1, 0.2, xy, xy, 0 minus -20 over 0 minus -18. They both go positive, and the answer is 18 over 20 over 18, which reduces down to 10 over 9. So you can either write it as the improper fraction of 10 over 9 or as the mixed number of 1 and 1/9. Last one, 0.1, 0.2, xy, xy, 12 minus a -18 over 11 minus 12. These two go positive. 18 plus 12 is going to give me a 30. 11 minus 12 is going to give me a -1. And a negative and a positive make a negative number. One goes in 30 times. All right, that's it. Just keep watching and doing this worksheet until you get it. If you need more worksheets, let me know. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next class.